that final win. But what I think was, apparent was the camaraderie that had been built through this particular team this year. I've been with you guys for 3 years now, and I think that what was displayed both on and off the court really reflected in how you played. So, from your perspective, you've obviously joined the team this year. So tell a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so second year with the Boomers, and yeah, like you said, we definitely had a close group on and off the court, and it's great to hear that feedback from you guys, because we definitely felt that within the team. And I think that's why the loss or the result hurt as much as it did, because we felt as though, it was such a great season. We sort of, did the right things. We're really close as a team, so we were really hoping to get, the championship at the end of it all. But I think that's really vital within a club and within an organisation, just having that close group, and because I think it definitely transfers onto the court as well, which was shown this season.
It sure was, and yes, I'm going to correct the first year to the second year. That was my mistake there. But just watching you grow as a player has been outstanding. I think, and I guess from a woman's perspective, as well, just to see the facilities that you're now starting to be able to enjoy. I think, from where I sit, having watched the refurbishment of the change rooms, the broadcasting, so that you've worked really hard, with Deakin, with Fox to get women's sport out in an arena.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think that's contributed to the result and how you've grown as a player over the last couple of years?
It's contributed quite a lot. I think, I'm pretty lucky to be playing in the time period that I am playing in, with the growth in women's sport and women's basketball in particular. But I think, the change rooms and having those games televised, even if it is one a week, it's still getting out there to people that aren't able to come to the game. So I think that's great. And in terms of development, it's been great, just having Guy there and having the right people and support system around us. It definitely shows on the court as well. And I think at an individual level, but as a team as well, because I think what's great with the Boomers is Guy. He's really big on development and personal development. So he definitely carries that out, whether you're just starting or like earlier in your career, extending to, Kayla and Maddie, who have been playing for years, but he's still really particular in those finer details. So yeah, having that support off the court definitely transfers to your personal development as well.
Interestingly, off the court, and you mentioned Kayla and Maddie, I think that they made a fantastic co-captain team today, but also you lived in quite close proximity to them this year.
I did.
I know that you moved in with us earlier, or a couple of weeks into the season, and Tony was very specific on what he wanted for you when you came across. How did living in such close proximity to two such inspiring women, how did that work for you?
Yeah, it was great. I loved being a part of that environment, just being at St. Kilda, so thank you for that. But yeah, I was lucky to live, next to Sophie, Kayla and Maddie as well, and it's just great having them there. They're natural leaders, and I think just seeing them every day was, I didn't get sick of them. I don't think we got sick of each other this season. After training, we wanted to hang out and everything, so that was really good just being with them. And yeah, like I said, they're strong leaders, and just being around that, being able to absorb their energy and, the qualities that they represent was great. So yeah, I was really lucky and fortunate to live next to them for the last few months.
I had a bit of a giggle at the Michelle Timms presentation dinner where they were talking about handing Milos over the balcony. Did you ever get handed a Milo?
I didn't know. I had Sophie in between, but they would make Instagram stories. So they would film each other over the balcony, and I was on the balcony one night. I definitely witnessed that. So I was watching them on Instagram and in person as well. So that was pretty funny.
I mean, it just seems like it was such a nice dynamic,
It was,
especially bringing Sophie in as well. And again, coming back to you and your requirements, and it's not just for you about a place for them to stay.
No.
When we started this journey, you and I together, 2 years back now?
3 years back now.
Well, 3 years, but you and I have been really connected for 2 years. Talking with Tony, it's never just about just a bed.
No, and I think, look, you talked about the team this season, and I think it's not there's various things that come together to make that cultural work within a team, and it's not an accident that it's the first year we've had 5 of our athletes staying at Adara. We've had Lindsay here, and we had Sophie, Ezzy, Kayla and Maddie together at St Kilda. So I don't think it's an accident at all that the environment at St Kilda actually helped the team become what it became, because it also gave the rest of the team a place to come. And so I would often see photos of the team being together at the St Kilda property at Adara, and I think for people who are looking for a place to come if they're coming to Melbourne, you can be separate, you can have your own apartment, but then there are 2-bedroom apartments, and there are apartments in close proximity in a great location. And it also enabled somebody like Sophie Cunningham to have her sister come and her partner come from the United States for the first time ever into a foreign country. So I don't think it's just a coincidence. Some of the things that you've worked on and some of the things that Adara have provided have actually helped some of the other positives we had from the season as well.
Well, we've become very attached. We're part of your Boomers family.
You are.
And when we see you all leave, it's very sad for us. It's been wonderful. I mean, Maddie's been with us for 3 years, has returned to us for 3 years. Lindsay's now into her 2nd year, and I was very fortunate to see her on the evening that she was leaving. And it's like, the intention of hoping that she'll come back, and that was her intention, obviously. I was a bit surprised that she left early, but obviously she had another knee injury.
Look, she's been managing her knee the whole season, and she asked if she could get home as quickly as she could so she could get her own medical people to have a look at what she's doing, and she's about to do some rehabilitation over the next 4 to 6 weeks. And we really hope that goes well, because the main thing we're interested with Lindsay is just making sure she can be what she wants to be from an athlete perspective, and start in the WNBA program hopefully in the next, whether that's in May or June, depending on what's happening around the world.
Yeah.
But so that then she can come back next year and continue with us.
Fantastic. As if I remember correct, when I was talking to Tony about you coming to St Kilda with us. This is your first time out of home long term other than travelling?
Yes, in Melbourne. So
yes.
I actually moved to the Australian Institute of Sport when I was 15. So I lived in Canberra for 3 years. So that was my first real experience away from home. But being in Melbourne, my family lives in Craigieburn, so I wasn't too far away from them. But being in St Kilda was great that I was still able to, drive home whenever I needed to, have mum's home cooked meals.
Did you do that often?
I did, yeah. Whenever I could, whenever I had
Did
to.
you take the laundry home?
No, I never did that.
There should have been a washing machine in your room, I hope.
There was, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really easy to get, I guess, into routine there and sort of do my own thing. And I think it was great because when I was in Canberra, I did have, things done for me, like meals cooked and everything. So it was sort of like a big wake-up call and sort of forced me to grow up, which was kind of what I needed. But yeah, it just taught me to be more independent and do things on my own, which is really good.
What was your first big challenge?
First big challenge, probably cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm just so used to, just mum or dad or whoever just cooking and it being there. So I think just, going and doing your own groceries, it sounds so small, but yeah, that was probably a challenge for me, just doing that and getting into routine and being able to cook meals or come home from training and not just like chill out, actually prepare for the day and prepare for the days ahead as well. So that was probably my biggest challenge.
Yeah. Hmm.
What's the area like in St Kilda to live in?
It's great. I think there's so many like great cafes and just everything's so close. Being so close to Carlisle Street and being so close at the gym as well. So we're at Body World, which is on Barclay Street, which is right across St Kilda Road. So just having easy access to things that you need on a daily or weekly basis was really helpful.
Did you explore the beach much?
I did a few times, yeah. I think more so when we had, a few other players just come hang out in St Kilda, especially after weights on like really hot days because it was right there. But yeah, just down at Elwood or St Kilda Beach, just one of the close ones.
Yeah. This year was a bit of a transition within the WNBL Association. I think at the beginning of the season, what I noticed, and I think this kind of like aligns with the progression that's been made for getting parity and equality for women in sport and the facilities that you have accessibility to. What I noticed was the opportunity for the other players. Or the teams that you played, there was consistency in where they were coming this year. Do you see that as progressing, in the future? What I'd like to see is, obviously I managed and navigated a lot of the teams that came and that you played as being a home team. What it would be nice in the future is that I'm not having to put them all into shared spaces where you're in, You're a lovely tall girl, and when heading away for your away games, I know that a lot of the accommodation was twin singles. So, how does that impact when you're actually playing away and you go from, a larger bed to a smaller bed? From an accommodation perspective, I think it was set up really well this year that there was consistency, but moving towards the future, it would be nice to see that, there was funding or, the allowances for you to all have a single room while travelling, and obviously a queen or a king bed might be advantageous.
Well, I think that's just a really good example of where I think there can be the mistake made at the moment that the job is done for women's sport. I think there's a lot of talk about how much progress has been made. We're only a quarter of the way to where we need to be. And that's a really good example of where you've got to keep pushing. There's always a reason, generally money, that things can't be done. And there are some realities about that. But if we don't keep pushing the envelope, so, the WNBL introduced this year for the first time a maternity program, a pregnancy policy. Now, in the world we live in, that's just a no-brainer. It just has to be. So I think that, as you can talk about as being an athlete, but what we want to do with all of our people, including our players, is give them, as any organisation would, the best chance to be the best they can be. So that travel is a really good example of where, 3 years ago, our players would at times fly somewhere and come back on the same day. Now they stay over for 2 nights. Now that gives them, the advice we were given is that gives them a chance to be better. Equally, sharing rooms, there's got to be a progression to where we have single rooms. Because again, this is a chance for people to actually have their own space. So I don't know how you feel as an athlete, Bez, but I think we're a quarter of the way to where we will get to.
Yeah, agreed.
And that's going to take some pushing.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of the things that are, I guess, being put in place now are things, we should have already had already have had access to. But yeah, in terms of, I guess, traveling and having our own rooms, I think it sounds quite small, but I think it does make a huge difference, like just having your own space to recover or just, have your own space after a big game. I think that definitely helps. And, sleep is a really important part of the recovery process. So just having, comfortable beds, beds big enough because there are, a few tall girls on our team. So just having that access will definitely help.
How do you think we go about achieving that moving forward?
Well, I might comment first, and then I think you've just got to keep stretching. So, and that puts pressure on everybody. But if you creep backwards, you don't go forwards. So, I think the that the stress in the system is around how you get additional resourcing, and that is something that has got to be pushed for, because we all know human nature will be to stay sort of the way things are. Now, that's not easy, but we've made a lot of progress, I think, as you know, we've been with you guys for 3 years, 4 years now. And you're an example of it as a company who has very frankly stepped up and gone from 4 years ago having a couple of players in accommodation to having 6 players this year. And, that is a commitment you've made to not just supporting women in sport, but actually supporting our organisation and the growth of women's issues. So I think we need everybody in the system to keep pushing and to find a way so that it isn't, as I say, it isn't just to me about players being given more things. That's the easy way to view it. It's actually more about how do you give people within our organisation the chance to be the best they can be, whether they're a player, a coach, support staff for our basketball team, our front office team. No different to what Adara does in your whole business around developing your people. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, and on the back of that, I think it starts with the players first and foremost. I think we've got such a huge platform as players, and we have a voice. So I think we need to start using that, because I think it means a lot more, coming from us to the people we are trying to reach out to, because we are the ones in that situation, in that environment. So I think if there's a huge push from the players to start with, and reaching out to or communicating with the WNBL, with those people that we need to communicate with, I think that's really important. So hopefully we use our voices a lot more during this off season and in the next few years as well, and just because it's been a great start, but I think we can do a whole lot better.
Oh, look, I think having a look at what you've achieved with Mama Ball, with the interaction with the community, it's so wonderful and inspiring to see, the commitment that you have on court to community, especially when is it the only basketball team that actually stands and signs after?
Yeah. So look, that's a really, and I can only give credit to our players, because they play at an extremely elite level globally in one of the top 3 leagues in the world, and they prepare for their game, they come and play their elite level basketball, and then they win or they lose, and they sit down afterwards and they interact directly with young girls and boys for 45 minutes. And that's just a remarkable and unique thing that we do at the Deakin Melbourne Boomers, and the people who do it are our players.
Well, that was very, very apparent in, I think it's the Deputy Mayor's speech at the medal presentation on Thursday evening, where she quite openly...
Emotionally, I think.
Yes, yeah. Emotionally, it's a fantastic word. Presented the fact that as a community, as role models, have got her daughter out enjoying, sport, basketball, and it was just sensational. It was just such a connection to the audience and community that has showed the foundations that you've been laying, over the course of the couple of years. And I know a lot of that has to do with Guy and how he brings things in, and the surprise on his face, as well at the award that you presented him with as a team, just shows the development, the commitment. But again, coming back to equality, we still need to keep pushing forward. A quarter of the way done certainly displays it, I think, and that's one of the reasons that we're really passionate about, supporting you is it forms part of our corporate and social responsibility program. I'm very fortunate to work in an environment where there's a really good split of, male-female ratio where we can, work and bounce. In saying that, we have a number of people that are in different levels, front office team members, managers. It's a fairly equal split, and I think that not just in the sporting world, but in the corporate sector as well, there's still considerable movement that can take place.
Look, and I say on behalf of us, Adara should be very proud of what you've done in the last 4 years, and particularly in the last 2 years, where you've expanded it for us, and we've come and talked about that, and you have. Fortunately, we have also organised that the away teams come and stay, and we see it as a mutual commitment. But we've just got a long way to go, and we really appreciate the support, and probably more so the fact that you're open to us coming and talking to you about it. It really is a sign to me of your values as a company.
Yeah.